Why do many older adults seem to decline after turning 80, even those who were sharp and thriving just a few years earlier? The common belief is that aging after 80 is mainly about genetics or luck, but that's not the full picture. In this video, we'll explore 5 surprising and often overlooked factors that contribute to why many people struggle to stay healthy or live long after 80. These aren't the usual factors like diet, exercise, or smoking, but deeper, more subtle influences that often go unnoticed, even in those who have done everything right. The good news is, once you're aware of these factors, you can take steps to address them. So if you've ever wondered what truly affects longevity after 80 and how to protect yourself from these challenges, stick with me until the end of the video. These 5 unexpected reasons could change the way you approach aging before it's too late. Let's dive in. Number 1. The disappearance of everyday social interactions. One of the most underestimated reasons many people begin to decline after 80 is the gradual loss of what experts call micro-social engagement. These aren't deep conversations with close friends or family, which are still important. They're the brief, seemingly minor interactions that used to fill your daily life without much thought. Think about saying hi to the mail carrier, chatting with the cashier, or exchanging a nod with your neighbor walking by. These tiny moments weren't just pleasant. They helped regulate your nervous system, strengthened your sense of connection, and kept your brain socially active. But as people age, those interactions often start to fade. Older adults may stop going to the store themselves, rely on deliveries, avoid small talk because of hearing difficulties, or skip daily walks due to joint pain or weather. Over time, this quiet retreat from casual social contact drains a subtle but vital source of energy and engagement. What's tricky is that this often goes unnoticed. People believe they're just simplifying their lives, when in reality they're cutting out small but powerful social cues that stimulate the brain, lift the mood, and signal that they're still an active part of the world around them. I've known people in their 80s who stayed mentally sharp simply because they made the same short walk every morning, greeted familiar faces, and kept up a sense of daily rhythm. Those few minutes of interaction weren't just habits, they were lifelines. When these micro-connections disappear, the brain feels it. Even low-level loneliness acts as a stressor. It shifts hormone levels, increases inflammation, weakens the immune system, and gradually reduces the brain circuits tied to memory, focus, and emotion. Simply put, it accelerates aging. So if you've noticed you're talking to fewer people during the day, avoiding errands, or feeling less visible in your community, it's time to gently turn that around. Because even the smallest exchanges, ones you might barely remember, send a vital signal to your brain and body. You still matter. And that message may be one of the most important for staying not just alive, but truly alive. Have you noticed any changes in the amount of casual connection in your daily life? Number 2, the trap of overcautious inactivity. Another hidden reason many people struggle to thrive beyond 80 is something that often looks like wisdom on the surface: being careful. But there's a subtle difference between being careful and being overly cautious, and once that line is crossed, the effects may not be immediate, but they build up over time. It usually starts with good intentions. Maybe you slipped on the stairs or had a close call on the sidewalk, so you decide to cut back on walking. You avoid bending, climbing into cars, or even reaching for things. You sit more and move less. Friends and family might praise your caution, telling you to take it easy. Before long, though, that well-meaning caution leads to a lifestyle that's safe but stagnant. Here's what people rarely talk about. When regular movement stops, so does strength, and not just in your muscles, but in your balance, coordination, and internal stability. Your body isn't a machine that improves with rest. It's more like a garden that weakens without use. One of the first areas affected is the core, the deep muscles that support every movement from walking to getting out of a chair. And once those start to fade, everything else follows. Take Walter, for example, an 82-year-old man who gave up his daily walks after slipping on a rainy day. He wasn't injured, but the scare was enough. Within 6 months of trading his walks for the couch, he lost 10 pounds of muscle and felt too weak to get back to where he'd been. His decline didn't start because he was fragile. It began because he stopped moving. This isn't to say you should ignore real risks. There are smart ways to stay safe. Use handrails, wear proper shoes, clear your walking paths, even use a cane if it helps. But there's a big difference between being careful and letting fear rule your movements. When fear takes over, your body begins to forget how to move. So if you've noticed you're avoiding activity, not because you physically can't, but because you're afraid of what might happen, pause and ask yourself, am I protecting myself or am I slowly fading away? Because staying alive and well past 80 isn't just about avoiding a fall, it's about keeping your body moving, even if that means moving slowly, cautiously, and with intention. Movement reminds your body that it still has a job to do. It keeps your systems active, your brain alert, and your spirit engaged. Has fear ever held you back from something physical you used to do with ease? If you are still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you are here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell button so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, disrupted sleep from irregular light exposure. Inside your body, there's an internal clock that doesn't tick, but it controls almost everything. Your mood, metabolism, immune system, and even how your brain repairs itself while you sleep. After the age of 80, this internal clock, known as your circadian rhythm, becomes particularly sensitive. One of the main reasons it gets out of sync is from not getting enough natural light during the day and having too much artificial light at night. You might not notice it immediately, but perhaps you've started napping more during the day, dozing off in the afternoon sun, or maybe you've stopped going outside as much, especially in colder months. You might leave the TV on in the evening or keep the lights on while reading or watching a movie. While each of these changes might seem harmless on its own, together they can confuse your body about when it's time to be alert and when it's time to rest. Your body relies on natural daylight to stay in rhythm. Bright light in the morning tells your brain it's time to wake up and get moving, while darkness at night signals your body to release melatonin, the hormone that prepares you for deep, restorative sleep. But when you don't get enough daylight, or when your evenings are filled with artificial lights from screens or lamps, your body's internal signals become scrambled. As a result, you may find it harder to fall asleep or stay asleep. You might wake up feeling groggy, even after a full night of sleep. Your energy may dip throughout the day, and you might notice your memory isn't as sharp as it used to be. Over time, poor sleep affects more than just your energy. It weakens your immune system, affects your mood, and increases the risk of cognitive decline. There's also the issue of vitamin D. The body produces vitamin D naturally when exposed to sunlight, but as you age, your ability to synthesize it through your skin decreases, making outdoor exposure even more important. Without it, your bones, muscles, and immune system suffer. I once spoke to an 84-year-old woman named Helen who had been feeling increasingly tired and disoriented. Her blood work was fine, her diet hadn't changed, and she wasn't on any new medications. Her doctor simply recommended that she sit by the window for 20 minutes every morning and avoid screens for at least an hour before bed. Within 2 weeks, her sleep improved, as did her memory and mood. It wasn't a new medication, it was light. If you've been spending most of your time indoors with the curtains closed, or your evenings are filled with blue light from a phone or TV, it's time to make a change. Try getting outside within an hour of waking, even if it's just for a few minutes on your porch. Let your eyes and skin absorb that morning light. In the evening, dim the lights and allow your body to begin winding down. These simple adjustments aren't just for comfort, they're vital for your health and survival. What many people don't realize is that the body doesn't just age from wear and tear, it also ages from being out of sync. Restoring your natural light cues and daily rhythms is how you bring balance back to your body. It's how you remind yourself, even at 85, that you're still on schedule, still moving, and still very much here. Have you noticed any changes in your sleep or energy levels as you've gotten older? Number 4, emotional suppression from loss and isolation. By the time many people reach their 80s, they've experienced more loss than most younger people can comprehend. A spouse, a sibling, a lifelong friend, or sometimes even a child. While the outside world may offer polite sympathy, what often goes unacknowledged is how much those losses accumulate, not just in memory but within the body. What frequently happens after 80 isn't just grief, it's emotional suppression. It's the quiet habit of holding in pain rather than expressing it, putting on a brave face because you feel like you should be used to it by now, or because there's no one left who truly understands the depth of your loss. But the truth is, the body doesn't forget. When grief isn't processed, when it's not spoken, shared, or fully felt, it doesn't disappear. It gets stored, and over time, that emotional weight becomes physical. It can affect your immune system, digestion, sleep, and hormones, and it puts your nervous system in a constant state of subtle tension. The most difficult part is that this happens quietly. On the outside, you may seem calm and even say that you're fine. But if your shoulders feel heavier, your breath shallower, or your inner spark has dimmed just enough that you don't quite feel like yourself anymore, grief might be the hidden cause, even if you haven't spoken about it in years. I once knew a man named George, 86, who lost his wife of 60 years. He didn't cry much, saying it wasn't his way and that he was doing all right. But within a year, he lost weight, stopped attending the senior center, and had trouble sleeping. Not because of illness, but because his body was carrying sorrow that it hadn't been allowed to release. Emotional pain doesn't need to be dramatic to cause harm. By the time it shows up in your health, the connection may not always be obvious. What keeps people alive and well past 80 often isn't just physical strength, it's emotional expression. It's having safe, open outlets for sadness, fear, or longing. It's being able to say, "I miss her," or "I'm still angry," or "I feel lonely," without fear of judgment. That release is what allows the heart to heal, and when the heart heals, the body can heal too. People who live long tend to have some form of emotional outlet, whether it's a trusted friend, a journal, faith, a community group, or even a therapist who helps them unpack the stories they've carried for decades. Whatever the outlet, the principle remains the same. What gets expressed can be transformed, but what gets buried festers. So if you've been holding something in, not because you want to, but because you didn't know where to place it, now is the time to create space for it. Not just for your emotions, but for your life. Because the truth is, the heart can only carry so much before it begins to quietly shut down. If you want to live well past 80, not just existing, but truly alive, you have to allow your heart to feel too. Have you experienced any emotional weight that you've been holding on to for a while? If you are still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you are here. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to help us in creating good content to inform and inspire you. Let's move forward. Number 5, gradual loss of daily purpose. One of the least obvious reasons many people struggle to thrive past 80 is the slow loss of something we often take for granted: daily purpose. Not life's big philosophical purpose, but the simple, everyday kind that gives you a reason to get out of bed. It could be something small, like watering the plants before the sun gets too hot, feeding the neighborhood cat that waits outside, writing a letter to your granddaughter, or fixing the gate. These small routines may seem insignificant, but when they start to fade, when mornings come with no reason to move, and evenings pass without anything meaningful to reflect on, something inside begins to shut down. The body listens to the mind, and when the mind sees no reason to push forward, the body follows. Appetite declines, movement slows, and without purpose, the systems that once kept you healthy begin to fall silent. Not because they're broken, but because they're waiting for something to reignite them. This shift can happen so gradually that you might not notice. Perhaps your weekly bridge game was canceled, or the church group stopped meeting. Maybe your family visits less often, or your volunteer work ended when your knees started hurting. You tell yourself it's just part of getting older, but deep down you feel it. Your days start blending together, quieter and more empty than the last. I once met a woman named Ruth, 88, who seemed more vibrant than people half her age. She wasn't wealthy, in perfect health, or surrounded by a large family, but she had one constant. Every Monday, she wrote postcards to people in her church who couldn't get out. Every Thursday, she made soup and froze it for a local shelter. And every day at 4 p.m., she sat by her window to watch the kids walk home from school. She knew their names and waved to them, and they waved back. It wasn't glamorous, but it gave her life texture, rhythm, and continuity. The secret is that purpose, even the smallest form, fuels us. It signals to your cells to keep working, your organs to keep functioning, and your brain to stay sharp. When you lose that sense of being needed, when you feel like you don't matter to anyone or anything, the flame inside starts to fade. That's why those who live past 80 with vitality and grace often have something anchoring their day, whether it's a garden, a pet, a journal, a ritual, a phone call, or even a simple morning prayer. What matters isn't the size or scale, but the consistency. It's knowing that when you open your eyes, there's a reason to get up. So if you've been feeling a little adrift, like your days have lost shape or meaning, don't ignore it. It's not just sadness. It's a signal that your body is asking for rhythm, structure, connection, and purpose. Longevity isn't just about your heart beating, it's about your heart wanting to beat. That quiet desire to keep going, stay connected, and still matter is what carries people past 80 into lives that still feel full. Have you noticed any small routines in your life that keep you feeling anchored? Final thoughts. As we wrap up this video, I want to leave you with a simple yet powerful truth. Most people don't decline after 80 because of a single event. It's not a diagnosis, a fall, or a milestone birthday that suddenly changes everything. Instead, it's the gradual, quiet loss of habits, routines, and reasons to stay engaged. Often, these changes happen so subtly that you don't realize what's going on until something inside begins to feel less vibrant than before. The good news, however, is that just as these shifts take time to unfold, they can also be reversed, step by step. One walk outside, one extra conversation at the store, one small stretch in the morning. These seemingly small actions can help turn things around. It's about doing one thing today, not because you have to, but because it adds structure, connection, or meaning to your day. That's how you begin to shift the trajectory. Reflect on the 5 unexpected reasons we covered. Which one surprised you the most? Which one felt a little too familiar? And more importantly, which one are you willing to take action on, even in a small way, starting today? The truth is, you have more power than you realize. Not to stop aging, but to change how you age. If you're willing to stay alert to the quiet changes, protect your rhythms, guard your sense of purpose, and let yourself feel what needs to be felt, there's a good chance you won't just reach 80, you'll live beyond it, fully and on your own terms. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment below and share one thing you learned and how you plan to apply it in your life. Your thoughts are valuable to us, and reading your comments is incredibly encouraging. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it. Your support helps us keep creating content that informs and inspires you. Thanks again for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.